Hello and welcome everybody to this week's podcast. And I am so delighted to have the gorgeous Claire, who I've met on a few occasions, hence why I asked her to come onto the podcast. And Claire is from Floral Life. Now, Floral Life is part of the Smithers Oasis group, if you want to call it. And she's here to talk all about flower food, all about how to treat our flowers and condition our flowers, and the end product being that the flowers will last longer and make life easier for the florist. Claire, we are so delighted to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me, Deirdre. Very excited. I love you guys. Whenever I see you, you always stand out in the crowd, and I just love your approach to the industry. I think it's just exactly what we need.
We do. Absolutely. Tell me about your history. So where did flowers come into your life, or where do you come from in your journey?
Okay, well, I started back in the 1980s. So I had a Saturday job working on a flower stall on the market in Buxton. So very rainy, very cold part of the world, but I just loved it. I loved the whole thing about the flowers and people and everything. I started out with my own business when I was 18 years of age with dried flowers. I don't know if you can remember this far back, Deirdre, but particularly in the late 80s, dried flowers were, the thing. So that was actually my first step into running my own business. And then from that, actually, we progressed into opening our first flower shop. That was Stockport, so quite a busy town back in the early 90s. I then sold that business, moved to Buxton, so very touristy, very pretty part of the country. And I had a flower shop there for just over 20 years. And we did everything from, everything that you could possibly do in retail floristry and event floristry. So I wore many hats, many aprons.
But I think that's such a good thing when we have a rep for a company that they are actually a florist, because you know what florists are looking for, what's important to florists, and you can relate to them. So when did this all start then with Floral Life?
So with Floral Life, I started with a company in 2022. And initially, it was just because the brand it was one of the first companies to launch post-harvest products. That's what we call it. That's the technical term for flower care products. And Floral Life were one of the first companies in the world to launch post-harvest products. But they were mainly focused in North America. So as far as Europe goes, we were quite late, on the scene.
We're always a little bit late to the party, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, sometimes those entrances are the best, aren't they? So I really, because I'd been away from floristry for about 3 years when I started with Floral Life. So I spent the first few months just going out, talking to florists just to see what the state of play was, because I'd left the industry just before we went into the pandemic. So, of course, everything's changed quite drastically. So I spent my time going out, talking to florists, just understanding challenges that they're facing, ambitions that they may have, and, of course, their understanding of post-harvest products, what they use, how they use it. So on the back of that, we then set about looking at the range of products that we offer, sort of rationalizing it all down, to be honest, because I found, and I still find that there's so much confusion. You've got so many names and numbers on products that it's like, what the hell do I need just to do this job?
That's exactly it. And we're hoping you're going to help clear us up today and give us what we really need.
Really simple. So we've stripped everything back. So at the moment, our product range does look quite small, but it's perfectly formed. And really, these products, we all know that they work, but not every florist uses them because there is a cost implication. So it's looking at how these products will benefit your business. And actually, what we're seeing now is how it actually saves money. So we are going to start sharing our testimonials from the florists who are using this and who have demonstrated a time saving, which of course is money saving. So ultimately, the biggest message is with flowers. I mean, you can have the most beautiful selection of flowers wrapped impeccably. But if those flowers don't last, the customer's experience is a negative one, or can be a negative one. In fact, Smithers Oasis did carry out some research asking consumers, what is the most important thing when you buy flowers? Is it price? Is it selection? Is it presentation? Is it vase life? And 53% of consumers all said it's vase life is the most important thing. So it's hugely important, you know, particularly as florists. We work damn hard to get those flowers out of there. And if they don't perform at the end of the day, you feel let down, you know, and it's not. So it's all about making sure that when the flowers leave the shop or the studio, they arrive with the customer and the customer gets the best experience.
So tell me, what is your hero product?
Okay, well, I think it's quite boring, really, the hero product for me. But so we have 3 steps: a cleaning one, a storage one, and then the end customer care. But my first one that I love, it's got a really boring name and really boring packaging, but it's a cleaner, DCD.
Okay.
So but it looks a little bit industrial, looks a bit, you wouldn't really know what it's about. So a lot of florists, whenever you go into you would normally see those stains of bleach marks, don't you, on clothing? Okay, so none of that with this. Unlike bleach, bleach will stop working after about 10 hours tops, so it then becomes redundant. This magic stuff keeps going for 5 days. Wow. But the magic for me is in the time saving. So, I mean, how we demonstrate this, I don't know if you can see, there's a little reservoir there. Yeah. So you just sort of squeeze, I'm not going to do it because I'll probably end up with pink liquid going everywhere, but you essentially squeeze that and it fills this reservoir. You would then take your empty spray bottle, tip this in, your 10 ml dose into a spray bottle, fill it up with water, and you're ready to go. Okay, so unlike bleach, because when you scrub it used to be the most hated job. I used to hate it in the flower shop.
Absolutely,
although sometimes if you were having a bad day, so just going scrubbing those buckets was good therapy. But this, you literally would just spray it. Trying to find something. I have got a little vase here which I'm going to use, but you would just literally, you know, you spray it on to the inside of a container.
Yeah.
And you would just wipe it around and you leave it to dry.
So you don't wash it out at all then? No,
to start with, I do, because sometimes some of the shops I go into, the buckets do need
a good
spraying. And if there is something stuck on the side, then yes, I would spray it, give it a scrub out and rinse it out. But ultimately, after a couple of weeks of using this, you don't get that residue, that build up on the inside of the vases. So there is a time saving because you're not doing that scrubbing, rinsing permanently. Once you get into the swing of it, it saves so much time and actually cost. So at the moment, when you dilute it, so you'll get 100 bottles out of a litre concentrate.
Wow.
Round about 15 pence, depending on where you buy it from. It's round about 15 pence. So it's, you know, it's going to say it is saving money. Initially, you're laying out a little bit more than a bottle of bleach. However, it is going to save you money because of what you get in return from it. But that seems to be the one, you know, when I'm going to trade shows and things, florists come up to me going, "Oh, I love your magic spray." So,
wow.
Because it's one of those jobs that it's, you know, we know it's not a playing with flowers job, floristry, and cleaning buckets is one of those.
It's a job we all like. I know for us, when we would have had the shop, Saturday was our day for scrubbing the buckets, and you know, and when we're training our students, we train them how to wash their buckets, and in fairness, we train them with bleach. So we'll have a new education for them regarding this one, because we trained them with using bleach.
Yeah, and bleach, you know, bleach is great, but there are some negatives to it, and this just takes your cleaning to the next level and saves you time. But I because we know that bacteria really is one of the biggest causes of premature wilting or flowers to fail, because, you know, those little microbes get up the stems, block them, and that's it. You know, then increase the risk of disease, etc. So it's a really, really important step. So this is one that can really, to me, is the game changer, because we all clean buckets. That's going to save you time. Yeah,
amazing.
So I do like that. Yes. The next product in the steps, now I haven't got, because I don't carry around the big 5-litre containers, but what I do have, these are my sample bottles. So these are this is what I leave with florists when I'm out and about on my travel.
Okay.
So I will leave a little 1/2-litre bottle for them to try. So this is, as you've just pointed out there, Deirdre, it's the Express Ultra 200. So Floral Life, like many other companies, had lots of different products, different names. I think this one has everything in it that the florists need. It's got the name Express in it. Anything that Floral Life sell that has the word Express means it has this Express technology. And Express technology means that you don't have to recut the stems. And that, this is where so many florists are like, no, not having it. You know, I've still got, I won't show you my hands, but I've still got the calluses and the hard skin from all those years of recutting stems. You know, God, they've been out of water for 10 minutes. We must recut the stems. And that's not essential. There are exceptions, you know, hydrangeas. I would always recut the stems because they have a life of their own. But generally, if the flowers have been at the wholesalers in water, there's no reason to recut the stems straight away, because actually...
And just on that, if your flowers, a lot of our flowers here come dry packed.
Yeah. If they've been out of water less than 48 hours, I mean, actually, we do claim that less than 2 weeks, you could almost take it to that point.
Okay.
But you've got to consider what temperatures it's been under along the way. And the reason that this technology was developed was that every time a flower is put under stress, its respiratory rate speeds up. So if it's out of water, if it's in a warm temperature, and if it's being cut, its respiratory rate, I can't say it properly, speeds up. And our research has shown that if we can eliminate just 2 cuts from when the flowers leave the grower to when the flowers arrive at the end consumer, that actually preserves 20% of the flower's life, which is a huge life saving. So, do you know what? I'm not going to say don't cut your flowers, but what I am going to say is that if you're changing the water or if you're doing something, you don't have to recut the stems. And there is a time saving element as well to that, but essentially it's about preserving that vase life. So that's what that technology was developed for.
Okay.
And also if you miss, you know what, because that happens at busy times of year, if you miss cutting a stem, it doesn't matter. The flowers will get up there. The other thing
that's actually really essential, particularly if you say for an event florist that have hundreds of roses or hundreds of flowers stems coming in for a wedding that weekend, and there's so much time in conditioning those flowers.
That's right. The other side with the other thing to mention actually with the Express technology is the speed, because it has this specific technology that will allow the solution to get at the stem a lot quicker than just water. Okay. So that means the flowers hydrate a lot quicker. For example, Colombian, Ecuadorian roses that come in dry packed, I mean, those you should recut, but generally you have to leave those wrapped with a cardboard around them for 24 hours. Well, with this, they hydrate. We've got wholesalers using this now, and they've managed to speed up the hydration process from 24 hours down to 8 hours, and that's in a chiller. Wow. So that's, you know, it's considerable. So for event florists needing to get flowers hydrated as quickly as possible, and which means they're strong and they're going to withstand anything that they're put through. So there's a lot of advantages to this particular technology. You know, it's a real, I think it's really valuable. It makes it a little bit more expensive than the traditional food, but personally, I think the benefits
in the long run
outweigh it. Yeah. And event florists, you know, talking to some event florists, some of them have guys that come on board that aren't necessarily florists, but they're there to help. Yeah. So they don't understand, not everybody understands the importance of the recutting of the stems. So this is, again, is something, just that little added insurance policy. With this now, this is a super concentrated liquid, so you only need a 5 milliliter per liter of water dosage. So it's like half the amount of a traditional one.
Yeah.
So it's going to last you a little bit longer. Yeah. Well, it used to come with a hand pump, but it still does come with a hand pump if you want, which will measure a 10 ml dose, and then it's up to the florist to measure the water. Now, it is so important. Anybody that is thinking of using and a product like this, or is using a product like this, correct dosage is so important, because you're paying good money for these products, and you've got to make sure that you're going to get that return on your investment. I was with a florist last week. In fact, she's just put a lovely post on her Facebook page about it, and she was manually dosing. She was using a powder, and then they were just tipping water into a bucket. And the pH of the water was still well over 7. Now, the target pH is between 3 and 5. So the more acidic the water, the quicker the flowers will drink. So essentially, she wasn't hitting that target. So she was paying a lot of money for a product, but the flowers weren't benefiting from it. So we've now got this amazing new gadget. Now, this is one of those things you're going to say, why has no one done that before? Instead of having the dosing units that go on the wall. Yeah. It's so now these have just arrived. Okay. We have had a few florists trying them who all love it. So you would just clip hose pipe onto that end. The other end goes onto the tap. You'd fill this with your concentrated solution, your Express Ultra 200. We just have to make sure you set this dial, because you can change this regulator depending on what you're using, and you're ready to go. You just pull the trigger, and you can use it anywhere in the shop. So
off-site, that's amazing.
Totally.
Game changer.
One florist, she said, I'm filling my buckets outside in the sunshine this week because it's been a little bit warmer. So, and it just does it all for you. So this particular florist, I went back to her a few days after she started using this, and every single one of her vases was down to 4.56. So it's perfect. And she wasn't having to do all the toing and froing. And so that's amazing. But that has just launched it. That it's actually only available with our starter kits at the moment, but you will see it coming out anyway, and you will start to see it in wholesaling.
And that's something, Claire, and we will, in the comments or in the description, we post the links for these different products. So anybody that's interested in any of the products or interested in getting in contact with Claire, all the links for all of this chat will be in the description. So tell us, what's the next one?
Last one. So step 3 is the good. So this is the step, again, that pretty much 99% of florists do, which is the sachet. Okay. So the flower food sachet that's all about the customer, their side of the flower care, but we don't know if they recut stands. It's a 50-50 chance. So this product has the same technology. So this has the Express technology, which means if the customer doesn't recut the stems, as long as they put this in with approximately a litre of water, because again, we don't know if they're going to measure it, your flowers are going to rehydrate and achieve maximum vase life. Now, I have gone one step further, because a lot of florists that I visit or have visited in the past just have those really small sachets. And in some cases, those sachets are only suitable or only compatible with less than half a litre of water. So when you're looking at potentially what your customer's going to put in their vase, so I have got here the vase I was spraying earlier. I don't know if you can see that, but it's not a huge vase, but that's half a litre of water. And the chances are your customer is going to put more than half a litre of water in. So what does that mean with it in this? This has sugars in it. So there's food in there for the flowers. There's also antibacterial agents in there, and there are acidifiers that lower the pH. So if you've diluted all of that small packet into a litre of water or over a litre of water, all you're doing really is providing the bacteria with lots of sugar, because there's not enough antibacterial agent in there that's going to kill them off.
Okay.
So that's why I do promote the larger sachet. I'm not trying to push something that's more expensive to the florist. What I am doing is, if you're going to invest in something like this, you need to make sure it's worth it, and it does the job. So I tend to go with the bigger sachet.
Yeah. And I think,
these are paper.
Again, back to the florist is to educate their customers. Even if it is a note in it that this is for a 1 litre of water, to get the optimum results or whatever the case may be. I think education is key to the customers.
It is. It's getting them to understand. And so it is a 50-50 chance if they're going to read it. I mean, we have on here a little QR code, which will take the customer to a landing page. And there are 12 different languages on there, all explaining how to look after the flowers. And we've actually just created a new range of care cards, which are really just in very bold writing at the front, which hopefully we can get some images up of them that will say things like, I need water, I'm thirsty, or I need to feel fabulous. And so it's a little bit more eye-catching, a little bit quirkier, but it all ties in with this product here. And we've gone for paper rather than plastic. So we're just trying to do our little bit wherever we can, which it does mean there's a bit of compromise. I know myself with a flower shop, you just used to decant, your boxes of plastic packets just into a basket or something on the counter. Well, with this, because it's paper, you have got to be mindful that it's paper and just have a few out at a time. But I believe it's worth the compromise.
Yeah, I think, and you know what, like at the end of the day, sustainability is on the tip of our tongue the whole way through our industry at the moment. And as you say, every little bit helps. So just because you do something in one way, but you're doing something in another, it's every little step means a bigger picture.
Yeah, and I think if enough florists make a small change in their day-to-day, it will have a bigger impact.
Yes.
I'm not, because not everybody is able to, go completely green, because it's going to cost the consumer a lot more money.
It's not sustainable in business to be completely sustainable because of the costs of it. So sustainability has to be across the board. Your business needs to be sustainable. You need to be able to pay your staff sustainably. And if you can't afford to do that, if your costs are too high. So it all works in roundabouts, and it really is one step at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. And Floral Life, as I say, they are now, we've got this. So this here, the larger 5 litre, 10 litre bottles, 20 litre bottles are actually made from a recycled plastic. So they're a slightly weird grey-green colour. So we've started with that, as I say, with the paper sachet. We know the difference with that and plastic. And we've also got one of our other products, which is the Finishing Touch spray. I don't know if you've used that for weddings. This is the next product that's coming out in a recycled plastic bottle. So, we are taking those steps, making those choices on behalf of the florist, just to enable them, to get on with their day.
Tell me about Finishing Touch. Is Finishing Touch... you tell me first, and then I'll ask you the questions that I have.
So this is, the Finishing Touch spray. This is great for anything that's going to leave your shop, particularly out of water. So wedding work, really, anything to do with wedding work, bridal crowns, buttonholes, everything. To give it a misting with this, or if there's anything that's going to go into a hotel, anywhere where the flowers I was talking before about how the flowers' respiratory rate will increase when it's under stress. So if it's going somewhere warm, the flower has little stomates on the surface, and they open. It's like a little valve that opens and releases moisture from the flower. So this helps to keep the flower hydrated by slowing that process down of those stomates opening. It's just that it will preserve them for a little bit longer. And there's no waxy film or anything with this. You can just spray it on. And
on all flowers.
Yeah, on all flowers. All of these products are universal.
Okay.
We haven't yet gone down the route of bringing back in products that are specifically for gerberas or hydrangeas or roses. We've gone for a universal product that will suit all flowers in everything that we currently sell.
And tell me about the Finishing Touch. can you respray? So say, would you spray as you leave your shop, and then maybe if you go on site, then would you respray again, or?
I would probably respray. I don't think you would need to. No, you wouldn't need to. I mean, every 24 hours. So we use this on the flowers at the. I know you guys were at the Interfloral World Cup, and on the Smithers Oasis stand, we had a large arrangement of pink hydrangea that were all in foam. So they had been treated beforehand before they went into foam, and then every day, every morning, we'd come and use that spray just to, give them a little spritz. But we only did that once a day. And those hydrangeas, because everything was treated properly, were perfect after 5 days. And we know that Manchester was in a heat wave at the time.
At the height of the heat. Absolutely. Yeah. That's amazing. That's incredible. Yeah. That's really, really good to know.
It's clever. And then the last product I will show you. So these are outside of the 3 steps. Those first products, I would say, are the essentials, and these are the additionals. So we start to focus on these products now. Now we're into wedding season. We have things like the quick dip and the finishing touch spray we just spoke about. Have you, if you've used quick dip, it's
would Jeanette calls the quick dip the Viagra for flowers.
Viagra for flowers, totally. And there's so many, honestly. There's so many blokes going, I can do a bit of that. What will happen if I stand in it? Yeah, not a lot, sunshine.
That's it. Oh, but do you know what? Like, and as you say, in wedding season, your hydrangeas, your peonies at this time of the year, you'd have to use quick dip.
Yes, you do. Yeah, totally. And it's also that quick remedy as well. If something has got an airlock in it, or for some reason has just wilted.
So what is it actually doing? How Jeanette explains when we're training and we're teaching about quick dip, Jeanette says it's like somebody gives you a punch in the stomach and you go, and that's exactly what quick dip does for the flower. It's like a punch in the stomach and makes it suck.
It gives it that. It's a bit, I describe it like a nasal spray. If you're all congested and you just do that quick inhale, it opens everything up. So all those xylem cells open up and get themselves ready to whatever it goes into. So you've got your Express Ultra ready. That's going to go straight up the stem. So it's like a bit like the primer, isn't it? It's
so what flowers is it for every flower, or just the woody stems, or what do you recommend?
I would say your woody stems are going to benefit from it. It's that because they're the most prone for wilting. But then we've had great results, as you say, with peonies. Antirrhinums are another one which are a softer stem flower, but with a quick dip, respond really well.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And of course, your woody stems like roses, etc. So again, and it's it's an expensive item, but just to save one stem of hydrangea will more than pay for the cost of the product.
And can you reuse quick dip? So if you pour it into a cup and you dip your flowers, can you pour it back into the bottle or get rid of it?
No, we don't advocate pouring it back into the bottle because you've got that potential of cross-contamination and putting. So flowers will have on the outside of the stem, there will be bacteria on there. So you've dipped it in, so you don't want to be pouring that back into the bottle. However, if you just pour a small amount into a screw top jar, I would say you can then use that for another couple of days. So keep it in your jar, use it for another couple of days, and then discard it.
Okay, so, that's very clever, very clever. Because we used to use and we still do. We'd have like little disposable cups, and we'd put it into that, and you'd be looking and thinking, "Oh, it's such a waste,"
Yeah.
But as you say, if you save one David Austin rose or one hydrangea, or you have your money back nearly.
Yeah, exactly that. So, and it's all about when those flowers leave your shop, leave your studio, how they're going to perform. Because that's the test. That's what we all do it for, and that's what.
And tell me, what flowers don't like flower food, or are there any flowers that don't like flower food?
I would say flowers that perhaps you don't see a huge vase life saving would probably be the shorter live flowers like a daffodil, or maybe the tulips. But a daffodil will only have a 5 to 7 day absolute tops vase life. So it's hard for us to measure the benefit versus the cost on something like a daffodil, say.
Right. Yeah.
Because it may be, but no flower would react negatively that I'm aware of, because essentially this is just all about ensuring the pH is the correct level. Now, actually, one thing to mention with our Express Ultra, it doesn't like, or there can be a reaction if you have zinc vases without a plastic liner. So anything metal, I wouldn't use this. I would use a liner first.
Right.
I wouldn't use the Express Ultra in there because it can react. So that can cause a negative effect.
Yeah.
But these products shouldn't have a negative effect on any flower.
Wow. Amazing. And I know you have your new system, which is nearly available, the jug thing. And dosing systems. Do you have the dosing systems as well for shops and studios?
We've moved away from having those dosing systems that attach to the wall, just because of the cost of them and the maintenance. That we do see a lot of florists can't use them anymore because they haven't been maintained. Because these things, you're working with sugar, and we know as sugar starts, it can set and it can cause issues in the workings, the mechanics.
Right.
So this is the way forward for us now.
Yeah.
Will be the handheld dosing unit.
Yeah, I think that's magic. I think that's an absolutely fantastic system.
Yeah.
Tell me, we hear all the time about the old wives' tales, like the penny in the vase, and have you any opinion to or from, or what do you think?
We've actually on the Oasis Floral, Steph has started a florist blog, and that is one of the topics that we cover, because I do hear a lot. Florists will say to me, I'll use fairy liquid, or I'll put a spot of bleach in there with some sugar. Now, fine, sugars we know will feed, and that bleach will kill the bacteria, but these have been scientifically measured, and they've got everything. Bleach only has one element, sugar only has one element. This has everything.
The level is not correct, as you said, the sugar could be feeding the bacteria.
Yes. Yeah, it can be detrimental. And then if you are just popping sugar and lemonade or whatever else in there, it's probably going to cost you more than it would for 5 ml dose of that.
Vodka, and I'm like, I'd rather drink the vodka now than put it into my roses. I'm sorry. Definitely not a cheaper alternative. And I know here, like years ago, it was an anodin, it was a dispirin, it was this, it was that, But likewise, when you look at the cost, I think for somebody that maybe has flowers at home and has nothing, a bit of sugar and a bit of bleach will help. Yeah. It's better than nothing. But I actually love the idea, and it was one of our past students came up with this. Well, I don't know if it's her idea, but anyway, it was Valentine's Day or Mother's Day. But anyway, whoever she sent flowers out to, 3 days later, she's posted a sachet of flower food with a special offer from the shop saying it's now time to change the water. Here's another sachet of flower food, which ideally would be great because you don't even say about cutting them. And this is an offer that we have on for plants or whatever the case may be.
Great.
And I'm like, that's such clever marketing. Yeah. Because nobody has flower food at home. We have it in work. I never have it here. And when a tube comes on the packet, a bunch of flowers, I'm taking them off and I'm saving them. I never think to bring it home with me.
Yes, but, it's so true, and you're absolutely right. It is that whole thing of it's actually much simpler than a homemade remedy, but it's I find it quite interesting, all the weird and wonderful things that people do, and I know that there's an element of that DIY, something homemade, but honestly, the research and the time has been spent on these products for a reason. And
I think for florists, it is about as a business, we're about making money, and we do have to spend money to make money. And I do think investing in a product that is going to make your flowers last longer for your customer is a bit of a no-brainer, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And actually we've spent time to calculate how much this is going to cost the florist as well. So at today's prices, using the DCD, the storage solution and the sachet, it works out between 1.2 and 1.6 pence per stem. So actually the florist can calculate that in there. So if you've got a bouquet with 30 stems, then you can put on there, on your makeup.
Even if it was 2 pence a stem, so that's like 30 cents, that's 60 cents or 60 pence,
Yes, exactly that. But when you offset that with 2 hours that have been saved through your cleaning process, which at minimum wage is anything, that's going to be around about 22 euros, pounds, that then almost pays for it, depending on how many stems that you process through your shop in a week.
Yeah.
So again, we're trying to help the florist to make sure every single cost is put back into that makeup charge for the customer. Yeah. It's really, really important. Because I know that. I mean, I can't say I ran my own business for 20 years, but made so many mistakes. And I was so guilty of doing that. Oh, well, it just needs one more stem. And I'm like,
we actually I done a podcast with Viv Bradford there recently, and she was saying that she calculated when she had a shop that if for every bouquet that went out, one extra stem of leather leaf was put into that bouquet, it was something like a cost to the business. It was a €500 or €700 pounds a year for one stem.
Just one stem.
Of leather leaf that nobody even misses if it wasn't there, and it really is like your costs are so important. Claire, I have really enjoyed, I have learned so much from this conversation. I really have. And I know when we spoke to you at the Interflora and the World Cup, and we did videos with you then as well, and we're like, oh my God, we need to get this girl on the podcast ASAP, because this is something all florists need to know, not just new florists that have just trained with us. This is for everybody out there to be aware that these products are available. As I said, everything will be in the description. So if you're looking to contact Claire, you're looking to the links to the products, have a look in the description and you'll have all the links are there. Claire, thank you so much for today. I've really, really enjoyed it.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. And thanks to everybody for listening to today's podcast. And we look forward to hearing you again or talking to you again or bringing you more flowery information. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.